Valentina's heart sank at the thought of leaving her home, and memories of her childhood and family turned bittersweet. "I can't just leave the demon realm," she whispered, her voice heavy with grief and fear. Tears threatened as she stared at the rug's familiar patterns, reminders of a life that now felt far away. The idea of leaving felt like losing a part of herself. "If I run, he'll only hunt me down and drag me back. My father's reach is endless, and his anger is known to everyone." Her worries spilled out. The pain of exile, the fear of being chased, and the shadow that always hung over her family. Every thought pressed down on her, heavy as stone, as she imagined the consequences of every possible choice. The fragile balance of her existence threatened to collapse, leaving only ruin in its wake. Her chest ached with the weight of it, a path littered with sacrifice, uncertainty, and the possibility of losing everything she'd ever known. In that moment, Valentina felt the sharp edge of an impossible truth. To love in this world demanded a price so steep it could strip away the very core of who she was. Lachapelle stepped forward and took Valentina's hands, her eyes full of determination. Her grip was steady, offering comfort. "Let me handle my brother," she whispered, her voice calm but urgent. "Follow your heart, Valentina. You can live through sadness, but regret will stay with you. Please, don't make my mistake. Don't let fear take away your future." Sadness showed on Lachapelle's face, her regrets clear as she silently hoped her niece would choose love. "I will cover for you as long as I can. If I must die in the process, then so be it," Lachapelle whispered, her voice rough with emotion. She stood in the doorway, candlelight catching the tears she held back. "Since my love died long ago, part of me died too. I won't let that happen again, not with you." She reached out, gently touching Valentina's cheek. The room felt heavy with the weight of her sacrifice and love. "Now go," she said, her voice breaking. "Leave and never come back." Her words were both a blessing and a burden, knowing that sometimes love means letting go. Tears welled in Valentina's eyes, catching the candlelight and painting silver trails down her cheeks. She drew a shaky breath, steeling herself for the enormity of what lay ahead. With a reluctant, trembling nod, she accepted her aunt's words, knowing in her bones that she would obey, even if it meant leaving behind everything she'd ever known. The demon realm, with its labyrinthine corridors, velvet-draped halls, and secrets lurking in every shadow, was her home, a sanctuary and a prison. Lachapelle pressed a small glass vial into her niece's hand. The potion inside shimmered with an otherworldly glow, swirling red and gold as if alive. Valentina's heart hammered as she turned the vial over, watching the liquid catch and fracture the light, each movement a mesmerizing dance of hope and dread. "This potion," Lachapelle said softly as she looked at the vial, "is something I made long ago, when I thought love could fix anything." Her eyes grew distant, remembering laughter in gardens, secret meetings at night, and the risk of loving someone she shouldn't. "Love makes you do things you never thought you would. I was ready to give up my power and immortality to be with the man I loved." She paused, holding back tears. "But now that he's gone, I have no reason to use it. That's why I'm giving it to you, Valentina. Let it open a future for you that I never had." Lachapelle's voice shook as she realized the importance of what she was giving. Valentina held the vial tightly, feeling its cool, fragile weight in her hand. The potion was more than a way out. It showed her aunt's lasting love and hope that Valentina could finally break free from their family's curse. For the first time, the burden felt lighter because of Lachapelle's sacrifice. Lachapelle's hand stayed on Valentina's for a moment, her thumb gently moving over the vial. The room was full of things left unsaid, apologies, hopes, and warnings. Valentina felt a new strength grow inside her, inspired by her aunt's bravery and sadness. She breathed heavily, torn between her dreams and her fears. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to thank you," Valentina whispered, her voice shaking. Tears ran down her cheeks, shining in the candlelight. She realized just how much her aunt was giving up. This was more than a gift. It was a blessing passed from one survivor to another, showing her the way to freedom. "You don't have to say anything. I already know," LaChapelle replied, her voice warm but sad. She tried to smile, but it faded into a tired joke. "Just thank me by running off and starting a family with the human you love." Her words hung in the air, full of longing and acceptance. The tension reminded them of their burdens, but also offered a small hope that things could change. Valentina just nodded, unable to speak. Taking the potion was both giving in and fighting back, a way to break free from her family's past, even though she was still afraid. Her aunt's sacrifice weighed on her, but she felt a new strength inside. With shaking hands, she hid the vial in her pocket, feeling it close to her heart as a promise of a new future. "Thank you," Valentina said, her voice full of gratitude. She blinked back tears, each one showing the struggle inside her. Even though she was unsure, she started to realize that her choice would change not just her own life, but her family's future, and maybe even the fate of the demon realm. As Valentina held the potion, she saw it differently, not just as a way out, but as a chance to reach the world she had always dreamed of. It was full of possibilities, waiting for her to shape her own future. The quiet between her and her aunt was filled with courage and hope. In that moment, Valentina promised herself to honor her aunt's love by choosing freedom and reaching for happiness. Valentina stood at her chamber door, wrapped in a black cloak. Her heart raced with a mix of excitement and fear. The cloak felt heavy and soft, its hood pulled low to hide her face. She gripped her travel satchel, taking in the scent of rose oil and old parchment that lingered in the room. For a moment, it felt like the whole palace was waiting, sensing the secret she was about to take with her. As Valentina gathered her courage to leave, she heard footsteps in the marble hallway. Her aunt LaChapelle appeared in the doorway, standing tall and blocking the way. Her posture was firm, and her eyes were sharp. The torchlight glinted off the silver in her hair, making her seem almost ghostly. LaChapelle's presence was strong and protective, reminding Valentina that in their family, every journey started and ended with loyalty and love. "LaChapelle," Valentina said, her voice tense with both frustration and urgency. She hesitated, torn between being grateful for her aunt's care and wanting her own freedom. LaChapelle, dressed in a midnight blue robe, gave Valentina a look that left no room for argument. "Before you go, you must memorize the path I give you," she said. Her voice was firm but held a gentle note that only Valentina noticed. Her words carried both authority and the wisdom of many secrets. Valentina nodded, trying to calm her nerves. She knew her aunt's advice came from years of experience and a strong desire to keep her safe. LaChapelle opened a parchment map and pointed out the safest route through forests, ravines, and valleys. Her voice was quiet but urgent as she described hidden shelters and signs to watch for. She warned of dangerous animals and sudden storms, sometimes reassuring, sometimes serious. Valentina focused on memorizing every detail, knowing how important it was. The weight of the journey and its dangers settled over her. When LaChapelle finished, Valentina closed her eyes to steady herself. She repeated the instructions, her voice shaky but steady. Each word was a promise to herself and her aunt that she would not fail. LaChapelle's serious look softened into a proud smile as she placed her hand on Valentina's shoulder. For a moment, she was just family. She stepped aside, showing both trust and support. Valentina felt the weight of her aunt's sacrifice and the pride in their goodbye. Thinking of Sevyn, Valentina took a deep breath and stepped out, leaving the warm light and familiar smells of the palace. The air outside was cold and smelled of pine and rain. Her boots echoed on the stone path as she walked, each step filled with hope and doubt. She stopped at the courtyard's edge and looked back at the palace, now covered in dusk's blue shadows. Memories of her childhood made leaving feel both sad and freeing. Valentina had never left the kingdom before, except in the stories she loved as a child. Those were tales of magic and adventure told by firelight. Now, every step into the unknown tested her courage, but she kept moving, inspired by Sevyn's smile and his kind words. He had sparked a longing in her for a life beyond family duties. Each mile brought her closer to purpose, understanding, and a love that could change her future. As she left the last of the palace gardens behind, the landscape became wild and forbidding. The cold air stung her cheeks and numbed her fingers. Black pines rose on both sides of the narrow trail, their branches tangled in constant twilight. The ground sloped upward, and soon Valentina was looking up at jagged peaks that pierced the sky like ancient teeth. Shadows filled the crevices, and the quiet of the mountains made her heartbeat seem louder. She moved carefully, alert for the snap of a twig or the flicker of yellow eyes in the night. Monsters, storms, and the unknown waited just out of sight. She paused on a ridge, the palace now a distant shape in the moonlight, its spires rising above the mist like a memory she could not let go of.